Hello and welcome to the Voicekeeper Podcast. We are doing something a little different today. I am so excited to be introducing a new series, our Voicekeeper Monthly Rhythm. I want you to think of this as a gentle check in, a spiritual forecast that is rooted in rhythm, not prediction. And so today we're going to talk about September. Even though we are a little bit into the month, I wanted to go ahead and do this. I just was really feeling called to do it. So let's dive in. Welcome, everyone. So it is September. I think that September is such an interesting month for me because it feels like such a month of transition. There's like a collective energy of transition, right? We're moving out of summer, which was very expansive. We were doing a lot of things. And the energy of fall feels very rooted to me. Like, this is my favorite time of year. This is when I come alive and decorate my house and, put on glasses toppers that have skulls on them. And it just feels like me, like this is where I'm supposed to be, is in this season. And I just love it so much. I think the interesting thing about September is that it always feels like a beginning and a return, right? So we have school rhythms. We're getting into, harvest season. Things are starting to shift, even the weather, but it also feels like a welcome return. At least for me, it does. And I hope that it does for you as well. So each month, I'm going to pull cards, reflect on seasonal rhythms, and invite you to notice what your voice and body need right now. And so before we dive in, I always like to ground into these episodes. So let's take a deep breath. I want you to feel where your body wants to root today as we enter into this month's rhythm. So, as I am talking about September and the seasons, please know that I am in the northern hemisphere. So, I think that's an important distinction to make. For us right now, we are shifting into fall and harvest and a sense of balance as we approach the equinox. And I think that this idea of transitions is so interesting because there is both discomfort and clarity in transitions, right? There's discomfort because we are changing from what we are used to, but there is clarity because we are going into something new, into something that possibly we've manifested. Possibly we are starting some new things. I know that in my own life and my children's lives, we are starting a whole bunch of new things. This is the time of the year where their activities just really ramp up. And it can feel like a lot, but it also feels like getting back to normal. Summer for us is very discombobulated. We're doing a lot of different things. We have a lot more time to do a lot more, like hanging out with friends, those kinds of things. And fall is when we really root into our home, especially being homeschoolers. This is when we stay home and get schoolwork done. This is when we really root into tradition and the wheel of the year, even more than we did during the summer. And it definitely, like I said, feels really great, very clear, very great. I'm excited to do this, but there's also this feeling of discomfort. And I think that we can collectively feel that as well, right? There is like a shift happening in the collective. I know that I am feeling it. The energy is heavy. I've been really tired. Maybe you have been as well. But I also feel like this is coming through in like what's happening in the world, what's happening in politics, what's happening. I mean, it's just this major moment of discomfort, but also clarity because we are clearly seeing where we do and don't want to go as a collective, right? And so it's this very interesting moment as voice keepers of, how can we share our voice in this moment? How can we speak up? What are we being called to speak up? And yeah, it's something that's just been really weighing on me heavily this last couple of weeks, which might be why I've been so tired, honestly, and now that I think about it. Because it does feel like every time you turn on any like device, whatever, there's just this feeling of like tension, right? This tension between the old and the new and the what we've been doing and what we want to do and so much tension. And I've been feeling it inside myself as well. I've had a lot of new things happening this month with my business, and that tension is showing up. And I'm seeing it with a lot of my colleagues, my friends, clients. They are also feeling this tension right now as well. And so I just want you to recognize that if you are feeling this, if you're listening to this and you are finding some sameness or you're relating to what I'm saying, that this isn't just you, it's a collective experience. And I think that the best thing that we can do is really ground and root into ourselves, ground and root into our rhythms, ground and root into what is important for us. And as I mentioned, like for me right now, that is keeping my family healthy. I have mentioned before that I have a daughter who has a chronic illness. She gets sick easy. So this is the time of year where we start drinking the teas and resting more and really prioritizing health. And this is also the time of year that we start thinking about Halloween and getting ready for our favorite season in the cycle. And yeah, it's really leaning into those rhythms, those things that feel good to you, yeah, I mentioned in my most recent podcast episode on rhythms that, this is the time of year. So if you think about how our ancestors lived, they harvested and then they rested. And you can feel that in your body. You can feel that memory of how we used to live. The days get shorter, we get tighter, we want to stay home, we want to cocoon in. And like, how can you start leaning into that energy as we're going into the fall? Of course, I'm going on vacation at the end of this month to a not very fall like destination. And it's been interesting thinking about that and like, okay, how do I set aside a rhythm for that and then come back to my sweaters and my jeans and all my things, And so take that moment to pause and think about those rhythms and what they mean for you and how they are shifting right now. And if you can gain a little bit of clarity on that, then it'll really help you as you move into this next season. So, this next part of the episode, before we get into the readings, and I'll explain to you the reading that I'm going to do and how this is going to work, I just wanted to say that if you are looking for a space to root into, to ground into, to start working on your rhythms, to start working on yourself, to really start digging into who you are and returning to yourself, my circle is open. You can head to carolinehull.com/circle. And there is a founding members rate that is happening right now with some special bonuses. And one of those is going to be a mini course on rhythm. So if rhythm is a new thing for you, I highly recommend checking into this. I was working on it today and I was like, man, this is some good stuff. Rhythm is something that has become so, so important in my life and in the lives of my children and my home. And sometimes it's really hard for me to put into words exactly how to create your own rhythms. And that's what this course is going to help you do. So please, please, please check it out. Okay. So let me explain what's going to happen in this next part. So there are 3 phases of the Voicekeeper framework that I developed. One is called awaken. So this is what is rising. The second is reclaim. Like, what are we taking back? What are we shifting to return to the self, to our voice? And then the last one is embody, how to move forward. And whenever I do collective readings, I pull a card for each of these and we do those. And if you want to see more of these readings, the best place to go is my Substack. That's where I post these readings. If you want your own Voicekeeper reading, I actually do a 7-card spiral spread that I developed based on my framework, and you can go to my website and book your reading. So, okay, let me pull these cards out here. So the first one is for awaken for the month of September. What do we need to awaken? And I got the Four of Wands reversed. Oh my goodness, Four of Wands reversed. Here we go. So this card is very interesting because it feels like there's a lot of conflict on it. And reversed is actually compromise, peace, harmony. And so I find that very fascinating when we think about what is going on in the world right now collectively. It's telling us like what's rising is peace. And I have heard from many, many people that September is going to be a month where we are going to be experiencing a lot and then it's going to kind of level out. So I think this is interesting that this is what is showing up for us right now. And reclaim what to shift. So I got the Nine of Swords right side up. And this is like anxiety. This card has a lot of emotion on it. There's a woman holding a baby and a man crying. And I'm using, this is one of my favorite tarot decks. It's the Tarot of the Divine. And on this card, it is Oedipus. So it's the Oracle of Delphi warning the king that his son Oedipus will one day kill him, is what the picture is. And I can show that for my YouTube people. And then if you're listening to this in my Substack, I will have the picture of the cards there for you. Such a beautiful card. And I think, again, just really aligns with what do we need to reclaim this month? What part of my rhythm do I need to reclaim? And I think it's interesting that these are in reverse. It's almost as if it's telling us, like, hey, we're going to get to peace, but we've got to stop making decisions out of anxiety and out of what we think is going to happen, or like almost like, we can't predict the future. We cannot live for the future. Anxiety is thinking too much about the future, thinking too much about the past, and not enough about the present, right? So, how can you reclaim that in your own life? And then the last card I'm going to pull is for embody. Okay. So, I got the death card upright. And I just want to say, like, if you are new to cards, I do not feel like there is a bad card. And I hear people talk about bad cards, and I don't love that saying, and I do not think of the death card as a bad card. This is a card that represents transition, going into a new phase. And I think it makes a lot of sense when we are talking about what's rising, peace, what's shifting. We need to shift our anxiety, and how can we embody that? We have to embrace the transition. We have to embrace what needs to die in order for these things to show up. And what I want you to think of when I am talking about these cards is, how does this apply in my own life, in my own month? How can you show up more in your voice, in your relationships, in your visibility? What do you need to transition? What needs to die in order for the things that you want to make happen, the things that you don't want to fear, the peace that you want to bring into your life? What needs to die in order for that to happen? And I think September is such a great month for this, to ask that question, because we are in an incredible month of transition. So I have a couple of journaling prompts for you, and I I'm actually going to change these a little bit than what I had originally planned from the card pool. But, you know, where am I seeking peace in my rhythm right now? Where am I seeking peace in my rhythm right now? What's one thing that I can reclaim this month to support my energy and to leave anxiety behind? What's one more thing I can reclaim? And how can I embody this feeling of peace and letting go of anxiety in this month of transition? What do I need to let go of in order for that to happen? And again, if you would love a deeper ritual and collective rhythm, the Voicekeeper Circle is where we gather each month for live rituals and reflection. You can join us at carolinehull.com/circle. And I also invite you, if you're like, well, I don't know if the circle is quite for me yet, please come join me on my Substack. It's just voicekeeper.substack.com. And I have a little membership over there as well, where you get extra meditations and reflections throughout the month, readings, things like that to help you in your journey. So I just want to remind you that September is inviting you to root into your truth as we transition into a new season. And your rhythm doesn't have to look like anyone else's. I want you to trust the quiet whisper of your voice. It knows the way. And I just want to leave you with a little affirmation, a little mantra that you can carry through the month. And that mantra is, this transition brings clarity. I hope you have a great September, and I cannot wait to see you next month for the next one.